All right, everybody, welcome back to Calm Survival. I'm Carl, and today we're going to look over a complete Trangia set. This is just the basic large set, and let's go over some of the things you need to know. So we've got all of the parts opened up. I'm just going to start with a few of the smaller pieces. They come with this lovely yellow bag with a lot of warning and instructions on it. You don't necessarily need the yellow bag, but because we have dissimilar materials between the brass of the burner and the aluminum of the pots, any moisture there will cause corrosion. So that's what you store the internal pieces in, the burner, things like that. Then we have the strap that holds it all together. Don't lose that. You want to make sure that we've got that away from the flames. We've got a set of pot grippers, spondonicles, grab-a-moles, whatever you want to call them. They very often get left behind, so again, keep them safe because you do need them. We've got two pots. One already has some water. We've got our frying pan or our lid, depending on what we're doing. We have our fuel bottle, which I'll explain in a second. And then the three components of our stove. We've got the main stove body, and like we described before, it's got a double wall, so you can see inside there. With the Trangia, really important, no matter which set you're using, this burner needs to be away from the pot. So the smaller versions will do that for you. If you close this off entirely, you'll just put it out. Then we have our storage cap. Now, a lot of people will think you can put the flame out with this, but that rubber O-ring will melt, and that's a mess to clean up and does some damage. These won't seal perfectly, so if you're going to travel with this with fuel in it, you do need to keep it out of the pots. Most industrial alcohol contains Bitrex, which is really unpleasant stuff. If any gets into the inside of your pots, it's really difficult to clean it out. It's the stuff that you put on your nails if you're trying to keep from biting them, or it's what is added into antifreeze to keep pets from drinking it. Trust me, you do not want to have any of that getting into your pots. Okay. Then we have our simmer ring. Okay, this is what we're going to use to snuff it out, but also we can use it to set what our output is. It is sort of a one-shot deal. You gotta set it on, and there's not really any adjusting it after that, but it's good enough for what we need. Now, a fuel bottle has a rotating safety on the valve button, and if we hold it up, we can push it down just to equalize the pressure, and then that helps us safely pour fuel without splashing into our stove. It also is designed so if for some reason the stove was too hot and there does get to be a fire, it'll help keep the flame away from the inside of the bottle. So this is the ideal fuel bottle to use. If you are going to use a separate fuel bottle, like something like that with a little squeeze lid, just be mindful that you're taking on an additional risk. Now in our case, I have pre-mixed this fuel. Alcohol and water combine together pretty easily. One of the reasons to have this lid is if you're camped out overnight and you want to keep dew and other moisture from contaminating some leftover fuel. It's a good solution for that. But you can intentionally mix water in to make the fuel burn a little bit cleaner. Now, right now, I've got 1 part water to 3 parts alcohol. This is 95% alcohol to begin with, and that's going to just help me keep my pots clean. You sacrifice a little bit of the overall heat, but you get a little bit cleaner burn. we're just going to pour that in, set that into the holder. You can fuel them inside of the windscreen. It is entirely your choice. I prefer to every time just move the burner outside so that I know for sure that it's cooled off enough. Trying to fill a hot burner is where most of the accidents with these happen. Now, if you're not quick with this next step, you may lose some knuckle hair, but that's all right. This is take 3, so mine's already taken care of. You will maybe hear a little bit of a pop, and that stove might not be lit. I may also have added too much water to my fuel. And this is why these can be a little bit dangerous. Yep, that is burning. We're going to go ahead, set our pot on, and our lid. Now, it may seem logical to put the lid on this way. However, the vapors that come from the fuel exhaust, will condense on the inside and drip down into your food, and that will add that unpleasant flavor. Okay, so obviously we want to make sure that side's clean, but that's the way that will sit. Now, if we're going to put our stove out, we can take our pot off, take our simmering ring, and just set it in. Now, because I've added quite a lot of water comparative to the alcohol, it's not burning very brightly. It's very easy to think it's out. So I'm just going to carefully double check. Okay, it's still a little bit hot. Just gonna add just a tiny bit more fuel. Which is going to help. We'll see if we can light it with the ferro rod. There we go. And a little bit more positive result. And again, we could put our pot on. If we were going to simmer, you'll see quickly why. Now, I don't really want to adjust that. This handle isn't very long, so you can carefully kind of get in there and put everything out, but it's not the ideal. Now, I did say this could be used as a frying pan. Just flip those up, and it'll sit on top. All right, so that's sort of the basics. There is some heat that is generated in the bottom area. So if you're on grass, I have left burn rings, killed all the grass underneath the stove in places. I wouldn't put this straight onto the countertop in my kitchen. I'd want to put it on either on the range or on something to keep it up to protect the bench top. But that is the basics of how this stove system works. It's pretty simple. You can see that, or hear, just how quiet it is. And that will become a factor with some of our other stoves as we look at them. So, not a terrible choice for your at-home backup cooking situation if you're planning on using it for any other purpose. We'll see you guys later.